Hi, I'm Kate. I'm 32 years old and I live in Texas. For as long as I can remember, I've always lived in the shadow of my older sister, Anna. She's 3 years older than me, and as is often the case in these stories, she's always been the favorite. She was the smart one, the outgoing one, the one who could get out of any situation. I, on the other hand, was the responsible one, which in my family translated to the one who does all the work and never gets any recognition. When we were little, Anna's birthdays were epic events. Bouncy castles, pony rides, expensive gifts. Mine were limited to pizza in the dining room and a cake from the supermarket. At Christmas, she got the Barbie dream house. I got a secondhand knockoff, sometimes even broken. My parents always had the same excuse. You don't need fancy things, be grateful. And I was, but I couldn't help noticing that Anna was never asked to be grateful for anything. The breaking point came when I graduated from high school. I had worked like crazy to maintain a good GPA, taking advanced classes and participating in extracurricular activities. I got into a local university, and my plan was to live at home to save on housing costs. Anna, on the other hand, had gone to the college of her dreams, and my parents covered all her expenses without batting an eye. So naturally, I thought they would do the same for me. Wrong. When I mentioned my plan, my mom looked at me as if I had proposed moving to Mars. "If you stay here, you'll have to contribute," she said dryly. "Anna deserved it, but you need to learn responsibility." I couldn't believe it. At 18, fresh out of high school, they were charging me rent. Contribute. I tried to reason with them, reminding them how they had paid for everything for Anna, but my mom just shrugged. "We gave Anna what she needed to succeed. You're different. You're independent. You'll figure it out." So I did. I worked myself to exhaustion, sometimes skipping meals to save money. My lunches were peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and the coffee in the bookstore break room was my best friend. I never bought a new textbook. They were all secondhand or borrowed. Every month, I handed my $400 to my parents while Anna lived in a new dorm room they paid for. She once called to complain that the air conditioning in her room wasn't cool enough. I didn't even have air conditioning in my car because I couldn't afford it. My parents kept sending her money every month. I once heard my mom tell her on the phone, "We don't want you to struggle. College is hard enough." I was in the kitchen, eating instant noodles, wondering why that compassion never extended to me. To make matters worse, Anna's achievements were celebrated as if they were epic feats. She got a 3.2 GPA in communications, and they threw her a graduation party with a buffet and a DJ. When I graduated with a 3.9 in computer science, we had a quiet dinner at home. "We don't want to make a big deal out of it," my mom said, as if my effort didn't deserve recognition. What hurt the most wasn't the lack of financial support, but the clear message that I didn't matter as much. Anna was the star, the one with potential. I was just there, and when I succeeded, they minimized it. "You're smart, you don't need help," they said. It was as if being capable was a curse. After college, I moved out as quickly as I could. I found a small apartment near my first job and started building a life on my own terms. It wasn't easy, but at least I was free from their expectations. I worked hard, lived frugally, and saved every penny. Meanwhile, Anna married Josh, a guy my parents adore even though he can't hold down a steady job. They have 3 kids now, Emily 5, Mason 4, and Zach, the baby, 2. My parents are always bailing them out. When their car broke down, they bought them a new one. When Anna complained about the stress of taking care of 3 kids, they offered to take them every weekend. I could say it doesn't affect me anymore, but I'd be lying. No matter how much I achieve on my own, I always feel like I'm the second choice. That's why I stopped sharing things in my life with them. I knew they wouldn't really care. A few months ago, I decided it was time to buy a house. I had been renting a tiny apartment for years, paying a fortune for what was basically a shoebox with windows. I had been saving for years and finally felt ready. But there was one detail. I didn't tell my parents. Not because it was a secret, but because I knew they would turn it into a group project. If I mentioned it, they would start talking about Anna and her kids, about how my house should benefit them in some way. I thought it would be easier to keep my mouth shut until everything was done. But, as always, the universe had other plans. I don't know how, but a coworker, Lisa, the typical busybody, let it slip that I was looking for a house. And, since we live in a small town, the news reached Anna's ears in a matter of hours. A few days later, my mom called me with that fake tone she uses when she wants something. "Kate, why didn't you tell us you're looking for a house?" I should have known something was up, but I played dumb. "Oh, I'm just looking, nothing serious." She didn't budge. "Anna and I have been talking, and we have some great ideas for you. You'll need something big enough for everyone, at least 4 bedrooms for the kids." "I don't have kids." "What kids?" I asked, confused, but she carried on as if nothing had happened. "You'll need space for when Anna and her family come. To visit, and for us too, of course. And it would be great if it was close to their house. I'm not exaggerating when I say they became obsessed. They bombarded me with links to huge houses, 5-bedroom mansions with swimming pools and 3-car garages. It seemed like they thought I was looking for a house for a reality TV show. One day, my mom sent me a message. "Did you see the one on Maple Street? It's huge and perfect." Anna, for her part, sent me a 6-bedroom house with a note that said, "This would be ideal for us. We'd finally have space." I stared at the message, wondering how my house hunt had turned into a group effort to benefit Anna. Every suggestion they made revolved around her needs. "This one has a basement. Josh could turn it into his man cave. The kids would love the pool on this one. Look, there's even a guest room for when Mom and Dad come to visit." At first, I tried to redirect them calmly, reminding them that I was looking for something small, just for me, but that only made things worse. I decided to stop responding. I muted the group chat and focused on my search. I spent entire afternoons reviewing listings and weekends visiting houses. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. Finally, I found the perfect place. A 2-bedroom cottage with a sunny kitchen and a yard big enough for a vegetable garden. It wasn't fancy, but it felt like home the moment I walked through the door. I made an offer, they accepted, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I was doing something completely for myself. Of course, I didn't tell them anything. I figured they could keep sending me their suggestions while I moved forward, in silence. But then my mom called. "We're having dinner this weekend. Are you coming?" I almost said no, but then I thought, well, let's get this over with. So I went. I knew how it would go, a PowerPoint presentation on why I should buy a house for Anna, but I had my own bombshell to drop. Dinner went exactly as I imagined. Anna complained about how hard it was to manage 3 kids. Josh talked about how cramped they were in their small apartment, and my parents nodded as if their problems were a national crisis. Then my mom made her announcement. "Kate, we've found the perfect house for you." I almost choked on my water. "Oh, really?" I said, keeping my voice neutral. Anna jumped in. "It's a beautiful place, just a few blocks from us. 5 bedrooms, huge backyard, guest suite." My mom added, "It's perfect for everyone. The kids would have their own space, Josh could have his office, and it's close to good schools." I looked at them, stunned. They weren't even pretending this was about me. Anna smiled as if it were already decided. "We can go see it tomorrow if you want." That's when I dropped the bomb. Actually, I already bought a house. The silence was absolute. Even the kids stopped making noise. "What?" my mom said in a high-pitched voice. "I bought a house," I repeated. "A 2-bedroom cottage. It's perfect for me." For a second, I thought maybe they'd be happy for me. But then my mom's face turned red, and Anna's jaw almost hit the floor. "A cottage? How are we all going to fit in there?" "You're not going to fit," I said, "because it's my house. I bought it for me." My mom jumped in, furious. "How could you make such a decision without consulting us? We've worked hard to find the perfect place for you." "You worked hard to find the perfect place for Anna," I replied. "I didn't need your help." Anna started crying. "We need it, Kate. The kids don't have any space. It's not fair to them." I took a deep breath. "That's not my problem, Anna. I've worked hard for this. and I'm not giving up my dream home because of your situation." Then my dad stepped in, slamming his fist on the table. "You're being selfish, Kate. Family helps family." I stood up, my heart racing. "I'm not being selfish. I'm finally standing up for what I want. And if that makes you angry, that's your problem." The room erupted into chaos. Anna was crying, my mom was yelling, my dad was ranting. Josh just kept eating as if nothing were happening. I grabbed my bag and headed for the door. My mom followed me. "You can't walk away from your family like this." I turned around. "Watch me do it." Since then, things have escalated. Anna has sent me photos of her kids crammed into her apartment, as if it were my fault. My parents have called me selfish, dramatic, ungrateful. She even showed up at my house unannounced with the kids asking to stay. I said no, and now the whole family treats me like I betrayed them. But for the first time in my life, I don't care. This house is mine. My life is mine, and I'm not going to let them ruin it. After dinner, things got worse. Anna posted photos on Facebook of her kids crammed into their bunk bed with a passive-aggressive caption. "All they want is some space, but I guess family doesn't matter anymore." My parents have called me in tears, saying I'm destroying them. Even my aunt, who I haven't spoken to in years, called to lecture me about family loyalty. But the worst was when Anna showed up at my house unannounced with the kids, saying they had nowhere else to go because their rent had gone up. "Just let us stay for a while," she said. I stood my ground. "I'm sorry, but my house is not an option." She left crying, and my mom called me afterward to tell me I was heartless. Now, I'm getting ready to cut off all contact. I'll change my number, block them on social media, and move on. I know they won't stop until I force them to, but this time, I'm not giving in. This house is the result of years of work, and I'm not going to let them ruin it. My parents didn't give up. My mom showed up at my house with a cake and a fake apology. "I just want us to be a family again," she said, her eyes scanning every corner of my house as if she were evaluating it. Days later, Anna, Josh, and the kids walked in, without permission. My mom had given them the spare key I left in the kitchen during her visit. When I got home, they were settled in as if it were their house. "We thought it would be easier to move while you were gone," Anna said, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. I called the police. It was surreal to see the officers explain to them that they couldn't stay in a house that wasn't theirs. Anna cried. Josh muttered that I was selfish, but in the end, they left. I changed all the locks the next day and sent a legal cease and desist letter. My parents tried to play the reconciliation card, but I'm not falling for it anymore. Now finally, I can breathe. This house is mine, and so is my life, and no one, not even my family, is going to take that away from me.